Star Session series is something where we invite someone from the industry who are experts in the product management domain to join us and share their wisdom on specific topics, uh, and um, uh, and of course answer any questions you might have in those topics. And We've been doing this for over a year now, and this is a weekly, I would say, session series where we have experts joining in every week. Today we have Ankita, who will be sharing her wisdom specifically on getting the customer experience right in the payment journeys and fundamentals around getting payments right in consumer applications or other types of applications as well in the software domain. Ankita is, while she will be sharing a more detailed intro, she is currently working as a product manager at Visa, and of course she's had product management stints in the past with Ola and SAP as well. So with that, I hand it over to Ankita to share a little bit about her own background, and we can get the session started. Thanks for joining us, Ankita.
Thank you so much. Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank PM School for inviting me for this Star Session lecture. I'm not sharing any wisdom here. I'm just sharing my learning experiences so that anybody who is wanting to get into the product management, into the payments, can actually facilitate these fundamentals and the user experience, which I'll be talking about, can actually take it into the next level. Or if somebody is trying to understand more just for the sake of understanding how the payments work, and it is for them as well. So thank you so much. I'll start with my introduction. My name is Ankita Vyas. I am currently working at Visa, and I take care of a digital product called tokenization for India and South Asia product as a geography. I'll tell you about my journey. How did I start it and how did I get into the big product management is that back in 2010, I started with an enterprise company called SAP Labs. We know everybody. From there, my career has been started as a software engineer professional. Gradually, I learned about how the industry works, specifically the domain knowledge which I was gathering on actually the payments, the billings, the invoices, everything revolving that. And that's why when I took the stint at Ola, I was still working as a software professional, and gradually I moved to product management. And in Visa, now it's been most of 5 years while I'm working here. Right now I'm focusing on digital product and digital payment journeys. So that's where, and I am the classic example of I think one of my friends, she did a Star Session, how to crack the PM interview. I think I'm the classic example, living example that I did that in my past. And believe me, it's possible. And you can actually, if the intent is right, if the fundamentals are right, everybody and anybody can get into product management as the basics, as we move on. So starting that, let's focus first on what I'm going to talk about as an agenda, and then we'll talk about different user experience and what are the trends which would be seeing in the payment experience. So the whole idea, me as a product manager, I obsess with customer experience, I obsess with execution and the transparency. These are the three things which I really value a lot. And I always put front and center the customer in that. The payment comes with a little more nuance of security. So yes, the security is one of the factors which comes in, but that's mostly revolved around the customer experience. So starting that, in the whole slides today, or the whole payment, in the whole fundamental journey today, we will talk about the essential concepts. What are the trends which we see? What drive the payments and customer experience in various payment journeys. I will share in all these slide or agendas. What I would do is that I'll put a product manager. How would a product manager think and what would the KPIs they would look for whenever they're entering into a product or a B product. So I will think about that. If I'm in particularly in all most of the slides, I would like to cover and touch upon that as well. So before we start, I just want to understand from everybody is that what are the important characteristic of a secure payment system? Anybody we can see on chat, or anybody who can write us on what are the important characteristics of a secure payment systems? No?
Just waiting for folks who are probably looking at us or streaming in or joining in from LinkedIn stream. But while we get those responses, maybe I'll take a shot.
Yeah.
Characteristics would probably, I mean, from my experience, would be security itself, in terms of users' financial records
Yes.
or private records. That's probably one of the most important characteristics, according to me.
Oh, great.
SSL
Yes.
on
The
mentioned
encryption,
one.
we call it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's a great start. Yes. Anybody?
So yeah, I think we have Pawan who mentioned SSL, but I think that gets covered in security protocols.
Yeah.
Folks who are like joining us from LinkedIn, keep dropping in your I would say questions/comments on the comment section. Priyal from my team will be curating and then passing them here in Zoom's chat interface. End-to-end encryption, we have a few more responses. Figure out a way to detect fraudulent transactions is one.
Yes.
By
Great.
Nakshi.
Yeah.
Escrow
Great.
management. Okay. We have some
Awesome. Awesome.
some advanced out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yes, I mean, that's the important characteristics, the encryption, the security, the mechanism that we are making sure that the records or the payment transactions are not being shared by anybody in the from in the ecosystem, or in the, it does not get leaked anywhere. So it's one of the front end center. Another thing would also, which I would call out, is that how ease of use it is. Even if it's a secure payment system, but how ease of use it is how easy it is to integrate with an application. You create your payment system very secure, but then how do you integrate easily, even taking the security at part? So these are multiple characteristics, but thank you for the answers. So here in this particular slide, I would just talk about how the evolution of payments have happened from back in like days of cash, where we knew that everything via cash. Today and today as well, there is in India, if I say, I mean, I know that we have people all from geographies, but then we see that there are cash displacement opportunities are higher in India still, where we have great payment methods like real-time payments, cards or wallet load or anything. But the front end center that started with the, I mean, I don't want to go to barter systems, but starting from cash, then it evolved to checks. We used to write a check, back check, banking checks, then EFTs, like we could do NEFTs from for fund transfers. Then the cards came in the picture. Then we moved to wallet load. You always see there is a wallet. It could be a digital wallet. It could be a wallet load. Real-time payments. A lot of geographies are coming up with real-time payments. And yes, why shouldn't we talk about cryptocurrency? Coming CBDC is one of the part of cryptocurrency, is also CBDC coming. So these are the evolution of payments. The last four, which we see, is also focused on the digital payments. Today, we see these are the emerging trends, which we would see, which are actually revolving around customer experience, the faster payments, faster cycle of payments, faster settlement cycles. Everything is under the digital payment trends, which we are focusing about. Now, that's on the evolution of payments. Now, let's suppose before I talk about different evolutions in payments and focus on wallet, I want to focus specifically what is a wallet. In India, we have a prepaid wallet, like you go to Paytm or you go to Amazon Pay and you load your money. It could be via any kind of a payment method. It could be via cards, it could be a UPI or anything. It could be a CBDC in future, anything, NEFT, bank transfer, any of the payment method, the wallet load. And that's where the next slide for me would be focusing upon that. How about I become a product manager of a wallet load company or a wallet load product? What I would be thinking as a as a product manager, and what would be my KPIs, and what would I as a product manager think about different perspective in order to make sure that my product is working pretty much fine. So I have divided into two perspective. One, it's a customer centric. So let's suppose an example where you're adding money to a wallet. I mean, today also in Apple Pay outside India, we can also add a wallet, add money into your wallet via any of the payments method or instruments. Any of the places, any of the geography you are in, there will be a wallet load as a feature or a provided to you. So if you become a product manager and you start working on this product, what would be your KPIs? The first, I would think about the customers always, that how many active users monthly, daily, or are being coming to my platform and loading the money. What is my new user acquisition funnel? How should I focus on actually acquiring new users? How do I tap onto those users? What are those kinds of users? Like we know today, B2B, millennial and Gen Z are the front and center. By 2030, actually, we'll have 68% of the population, working population, which will be either Gen Z, millennial, or the newbies coming up. So how will I come up with the trend and curve that, I acquire those users so that my wallet load product is getting much in front and right and center in the usage? The second thing is that once we get a user on a platform, like, providing some offers, cashback, any kind of incentives which we provided to a customer, there's something which is difficult for us to do is a retention rate. This is the percentage of users who continue to use the wallet over time. How we continue to incentivize load that particular user so that they are actually focusing and making our wallet load product as a usage of wallet load product going forward is moving more. Now coming to the churn rate. This is where we think that it's important that they stop using. Let's suppose I just want to take an example. First time I wanted to use just an example of a MobiKwik. I wanted to use a MobiKwik as a payment method or a wallet load. I just used once, and then I forgot about it. So I, as a user, how will I, if I would like to basically measure these percentage of users, I, as a product manager, who continues to use the wallet load and without basically indicating that there's an issues in the product or a user experience. The another one would be the net promoter score, which is an NPS here. This actually gauges that willingness of a customer or recommend the wallet to others. It could be like, I, as a user, I used it and I really like it. And how do I go about and tell anybody else in my friends and family and relatives that, okay, this is what you want to use it. And the conversion rate is that percentage of users who load their wallet after signing up or visiting the platform. That's the conversion rate we are talking about. So I load it, then I use it, and then I continue to visit the platform. These are the customer-centric KPIs which I would always focus on. And now look at the business side, which drives the money, which impacts the business KPIs. Would be how much is the volume? What would be the number of wallet loads? Like every day, daily basis, how many wallet loads are happening? Monthly, how many wallet loads are happening? These are the metrics I would actually look at as a product manager. the processing fees. So fundamentally, any kind of a product or in the payment, there will be a processing fees. You would be giving it to any of the acquirers, acquiring issuers, or anybody in the ecosystem. In this particular, it would be like you will be providing a processing fees, and then there'll be an operational cost. Why? How much operational cost I'm putting as part of this product? The important thing is the merchant discount rate. And about this, I'll just take this in the next. But this is a fundamental. The MDR is a fundamental to every payment method in the ecosystem. This is the important factor which drives the whole payment system from the user perspective, not from the user perspective, but from the product manager perspective, to understand what is MDR and how does it drives the whole payment ecosystem and the business of the whole payment ecosystem. So moving on, first we will talk about the key components of a payment system. Everybody knows in this era that either you use a real-time payment, you use a wallet load, or you use a card. Any of the payment method. These are the 4 key components of a payment systems. It could be a payer. I'm going to Amazon. I'm using a wallet load. So I am a payer. Pay is the Amazon, and subsequently there will be a reseller. That's a second order degree. But for me, I am paying to Amazon. Now there'll be a processor, gateways involved that they would process that particular, and the gateways who would connect all these parties, the financial institution, to me, to network, everybody combines together. And then the processor who literally process the transactions. And then financial institution, like an acquiring bank to issuing bank. There'll be a merchant. Here, Amazon will have a bank account and I will have a bank account. So there will be a proper, these are the 2 bank accounts which they actually are talking. Would be the settlement would go from A to B. These are the 2 things. And the network, it could be NPCI for India, or it could be outside, it could be any other network like any of the card payment systems, anything could be a part of the payment systems. So these are the 4 or key component of a payment system in the whole journey of a payment, or in the whole payment systems fundamentals. Now, moving on. Now we understand that these are the components and these are the ones which are key who connects each other, and then that's how the payment from A to B banks happen. And this is the fundamental concept which I would like everybody to tap upon, double click upon, that how the whole money movement would happen, or how the authorization, settlement, or clearing, or anything would happen in any of the payment instrument you use. So just to take an example, let's suppose if I'm doing an NEFT, there's a payment, when I'm doing NEFT, these are the 2 financial institutions. There's a payers and payees, and there is a payment gateway which is being involved. So there are components which are involved in NEFTs, and that's how the payment is being happening from A to B bank accounts. Moving on, which I touched upon a little on merchant discount rate earlier, is that it is the cost paid by a merchant to a bank for accepting payment from their customers via digital means. This amount is percentage of the transaction amount. It's a very fundamental concept to any of the payment in the payment industry, and which actually is driving the whole payment industry as of today. We talk about. So what are the components? There is an interchange fees, there's an assessment fees, and there's a markup fees, which is being the part of the whole MDR. And how does this calculation happens is on the transaction volume. We add all the fees, and that's how and multiply by transaction volume, and that's the actual MDR which is being provided. This is the merchant paying to the a bank which is accepting that system. That's the merchant discount, and that's where it translates into a lot of ecosystem players actually accepting and their business is moving on this particular MDR condition. However, just to put food up for thought, in India, in UPI P2P payments, like a lot, if I pay to a friend by using any of the UPI app, there is zero MDR being given because it's a P2P and there's no merchant involved. However, if I now go into a P2M, there are some different merchant discount rates have been involved whenever I do a UPI payment. It could be like if I'm paying, but it also influences which kind of a business. If I'm going to any business, let's suppose I'm paying to a normal vendor outside or a normal coconut vendor, he would actually, that particular business type would have either zero MDR or it could be a very small MDR. And then it's a volume, it's an average ticket size, and also the regulation holds around the payment ecosystem actually are the 4 factors which influence the merchant discount rate. Now, moving on from the fundamentals and everything, I want to touch base upon on the user experience. As I mentioned earlier, that we have a digital payment, we are in a digital payment journey or an era where there's still a lot of cash replacement opportunities there. In India itself, we are a growing digital economy. However, we still see a percentage of a cash replacement opportunity. Now, these are at the right side in this slide. What you would see is the reasons which drive a consumer or an experience. So let's suppose I become a product manager for any digital payment journey. These are the 6 or 7 6 particular fundamentally reasons that would drive a customer experience. There would be a conversion rate. I would see, okay, I trust this particular app, or I trust Apple Pay, and I know that they are secure. Then I would actually use that particular method or mechanism. Then there will be customer retention. How many customers are coming to any of this particular payment and using this payment method? And then real time, it has to be a real time. We are moving from a long window of settlement to a real time window of settlement, and also not going into real time. Today, if I want to transfer money, it comes via MPS within a minute. So we are talking about real time. And the brand perception. I mean, if I were to think about that, yeah, I want to use an Apple Pay, then it comes with more of a brand perception. And also the last and the very, very important thing is intuitive UX, which is intuitive user journey. How the UX has been designed in a payment journey. The small or a very small and fundamental, whenever you go to checkout page and you just swipe, and that's a very intuitive user journey. That's one of the fundamental. Then you can use any of different user experience, gamification, or anything to make the user experience so beautiful that user just went there, did some shopping, and came out to checkout page, and the transaction completed. That's the experience which we are talking, which can be driven by beautiful user UX or designs which we can come up with. Now these are the fundamentally examples of user experience in a digital payment journey. The first one is the recommendation engine. We leverage a lot of AI, ML, a lot of apps, a lot of payment method, a lot of apps, specifically the merchant apps, where you will see that they are using the recommendation engine to display which is either your last payment method, or basically which was the most frequent payment method in my past usage. That's how the recommendation engine is being used. That's the fundamentally that drives the user experience. I just want to touch upon in the example where Swiggy, I just go and they know that this is the payment method, I use it, and at the checkout page, I just have to swipe, and then it takes me to the next page and the transaction is completed. That's the usage of proper AI, ML, or a recommendation engine basic rules to be set so that, user experience can make it much better. In not in India, but actually Apple Pay has a very one-click payment experience. How does it happen is that you go at any Apple Pay. Now, you go outside India here, if you have an Apple phone, and what would happen is that you just click pay by Apple Pay. What would happen is that the beautiful journey, it adds your shipment method. It selects that the after selecting the payment method as a Apple Pay, it adds your shipment method, the payment method, the wherever you want to ship, and all the details in one click. And next is that your payment is completed. That's how the click happens. Outside India, it's more like a frictionless authentication on biometrics. So that's one of the user experience which we're driving, is being driven by an Apple Pay. Now, this Amazon Go is a beautiful example of a user experience where an experience is built along with a payment experience. You go to Amazon Go store, you collect something, and it will be directly checked out from your Amazon account using any of the payment method which would have selected default at that moment. These are the fundamental and the bigger examples of a use case driven. Now let's understand from this how these user experience I fit it into a real life examples, either whenever I'm doing a checkout page that I use in an e-commerce transaction. It shows me what are the success rate for each of my payment method. If I pay by UPI, it shows that what is the success rate here, or if it is a bank is down, it shows that this particular UPI handle is down. So that's how it is telling a user up front and center that there is another payment method, this is not down, you can use anything else, rather than user has to go through the whole journey and then come back to it. So as a product manager, I urge everybody to think that what are the different ways using the beautiful user experience designs on a UX or recommendation engines, doing a lot of beta testing, find out different user digital UX design, and put innovation in thought process, and then make the user journeys so beautiful that a customer loved checking out at any of the merchant app or website. Now coming to the beautiful offers, that's my favorite. And whenever I go to a checkout page and I actually say, okay, this is the offers, this is the shown at the moment of truth, that it fundamentally finds out that this user has this particular payment method and this much of a percentage of offers will be applied. So it tells the user at the checkout page that this is this much of an either it could be instant gratification, like you're getting a cashback or anything would be provided at the checkout page. And the next one is actually the subscription. We subscribe to a lot of places, AWS or cloud-based services, from any kind of subscription to our OTT platform, everywhere. The subscription charges get auto payment, and that's the beautiful experience which you're providing to the user. And the ride share, we have seen the Grabs and the Ubers. We see that the Grab, I just happened to go to Singapore in couple of months back, and then you just actually add point A to point B, and as and when you're out of the cab, the payments are being taken, the payment or the transaction is completed. So it's so invisible but embedded in your experience that the whole journey is beautiful. And the last one is transit. That's mobile tap, that even in your transit, you go to London Metro or anywhere and you just tap your phone and you can get into from that particular metro terminal and board your metro. So these are the user experience and the journeys which, as a fundamentally and at a day-to-day basis, which I as a product manager love, see, work, and actually try to see that what evolutions in the user experiences are happening around the world. And coming to the next, fundamentally, which would be going as a future trend, would be an invisible experience. What does that mean? Is that it would be a frictionless, You go to a connected car, or basically a connected car is that you're sitting in the car and your payment is being done as you check out as your McDonald's. That's how the connected cars would work. Checkout free stores, as I gave you an example of Amazon Go, that's how the checkout free stores. You collected everything and you just left the store, and your payment happened. And then voice commands. You tell Siri or your Alexa or your Google that you want to do some payments, and that happens on your voice commands. These are the experience, but very, very invisible in the whole payment journey. And that's where the world is moving on. And at this stage, I think I have finished my half an hour session here. I'm ready to take any more questions, anything on the payment, from fundamentals to basics, to also understand if anybody's want to cracking into a PM or anywhere I can help today, let me know.
Thanks for the session. Thanks for obviously sharing your knowledge with us, Ankita. Folks who are tuned in from LinkedIn and folks who've joined us on Zoom, the session is now open for questions. Please keep dropping your questions. If you're on LinkedIn, on the comment section, we'll curate it and then pass the questions along here. Yeah, the questions can be around what we covered today, which is primarily the whole payment journeys for payment journey for users. We are also happy to cover a few questions on generic questions on the product management side of things, especially if you want to you're an aspiring product manager, for example, towards the end. We'll be happy to do that as well. Yeah, maybe I'm pretty sure you would have covered it, or you are at the forefront of innovations which happen on the payment side, Ankita. But a question from me, where do you see in terms of from a UX point of view, from a user experience point of view, payments moving towards? We've seen a lot of technologies come and go, a lot of tap-based technologies which were moderately successful until Apple Pay came in, and then it's everything moved to tap, right? Physical cards have more or less moved out of fashion there, at least in the US. But
Yes.
globally, what kind of trends do you see in terms of easing these steps or making it more frictionless in terms of payments?
See, the important factor in any of the payment journey is security, but how you can make authentication more frictionless. There are a lot of as you see in Apple Pay, it's more like a biometric authentication, that your authentication journey was so seamless that you as a user was authenticated via your biometric. But that could be one way of authenticating. There are different authentications coming in front and center, where FIDO, which is a authentication mechanism which is coming up, and that's where the geographies specifically what I see is that Europe and everybody is moving towards. The third one is also from not from and also not authentication, the experience where it's so invisible but embedded in your life, that you as I experienced about the checkout store which I happen to, it's very beautiful and easy that you just go there, check out, and you get your products and the groceries outside. Physical, yet the experience of not taking your card or not taking your phone or any kind of a thing, that's like the ultimate level of frictionless. So we're moving towards more in a frictionless journeys, where the simple invisible payment journeys yet embedded in your day-to-day life.
Right. I think that's a good point that you raised around authentication. It's a combination of the way I see it in terms of making it seamless. There are two primary factors. One is authentication, and second, payment networks. Right. You have to be securely tapped into these networks. But what matters on the user side, which is invisible, is the payment networks. But what's invisible on the user side is the payment networks. But authentication is what's what would directly impact or would be relevant for a user for that matter. So even in the Apple Pay, I think Apple is handling the authentication bits, right? And they're making it seamless.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, we have a few questions coming.
Awesome.
What are your views on user acceptance of UPI, UPI plugin?
No expert in UPI, but yes, I'm just a user of a UPI plugin or a UPI. The experience which uh, the journey in UPI is that we understand that in the UPI plugin itself is that in the less than 500 transaction, it would be no, you don't need to enter your PIN, and that's where we are talking about frictionless. That your authentication is less for a less amount, for a 500 less amounts of any products which you are buying or anywhere. It's actually coming to a level where you do not add your PIN, and that's where I'm again we going back to the authentication where security for and you know that UPI is more driven at a from the Indian government regulations and everywhere, but it also is actually a front and center, putting a user in between and in the front and center, that for a less than 500 transaction we do not require a PIN, and for later we would require a PIN. So these are the new plugins which of UPIs are coming, which will actually make the transaction more frictionless, is my point of view.
Thanks for that, Nikita. We have a few more questions drop in. What can be the strategies to activate new users to a payment platform? Okay.
Yeah. See, one of the fundamental is incentive campaigns which run, that you activate them. But I think these are the basics which we do as a product manager. Let's suppose a user has gone back, not able to, they're not using this particular payment method, or they're not using our app per se. Would be just incentivized. The first one would be always an incentive, but for me it would be that once you have incentivized a user, you can't continue to incentivize that particular user, because you are draining your business as well, you are draining your P&Ls also, and this is your expense line which is increasing. So focusing on that and focusing the customer experience, that people actually talk about the brand, like you just said that Apple Pay is a very beautiful user experience, that brand speaks for themselves, the user experience speaks for yourself. Like UPI, nobody has to do it, it's so easy and frictionless that it happens, and you just have to enter your 4-digit PIN. So i'm not as a year, I'm not focusing on this is better or that is better. I'm focusing first, this payment method is better or another payment method, but focusing on the examples of user experience, that in digitally, how can we make it most beautiful that users are coming back to your so maybe innovate the ways that user would like to come to your platform. I think I generally sit with my innovation team, work with them, with UX designers, to look that how do we create a beautiful journey in India, specifically South Asia, where we can make it much beautiful.
Thanks, Ankita. Next one, how do you suggest one should prepare for transitioning into a PM for payments domain specifically? And we have a couple of questions in that.
That's a beautiful question and very close to my heart as well. I think if you're already a product manager and getting into payments, I think just get the basics right, understand how the payment system works, and then gradually you start giving the interviews, focusing on if you are, let's suppose if you're in geography A, just talking about Brazil today. If I happen to be in Brazil and I want to transition in that particular geography, I want to understand the trends here, I want to see what are the trends here, what are the different methods. And the fundamental on the payments is that it is always regulation is there. Even if you go to US, if you go to Brazil, or even if you go to Europe or UK or India, the regulation is there, and that's where you have to understand the regulation of that particular geography which you are applying into, and then coming into that how do you just transition from from one product manager, you're already taking care of that. For me, it would be like, let's suppose I was part of a Ola, and I actually wanted to learn on, and I built the payments. I was part of the team who actually built the whole payment stack. I learned about it, and from there I grew the whole affinity towards how the payment journey would look like in different experiences. In my view, it would be that start working in your organization, that where you are actually, you can work on the payment journeys and understand the payment. It would be easier. Else also, if you want to start with a startup or anywhere, they're very keen to come up with any of the product managers, that would be another thing. Now let's suppose if somebody is actually just not into a product manager and want to become and get into product management, and specifically focusing on payments, I think, yes, the fundamentals have to be right. B, learn about the payment integration, payments, how does it happen, and gradually go for a course. I think PM School is one of the place where you can enroll yourself. And when I'm back 5 years back, when I wanted to do that, specifically learn more on the PM, I just go browse through the YouTube videos whenever I want to, and learn from the experience of others. And then the preparation is part, but keep applying, keep trying, and then you will get into it.
Yeah, I strongly go with that, with the thought process and suggestions. I can reflect on my own experience with a lot of what you said. Cool. We have some very specific questions around the payment terminals. So we have a question by Manju. Could you share can you talk about, or could you share about fraud identification and feature prioritization with respect to fraud, to addressing fraud?
Yeah, it's a great question. Frankly, fraud in payment system is one of the, it's like, it goes hand in hand, that if I have done a payment and if I want to report a fraud, how will it come up? So the prioritization, if I talk about in any of the companies on a fraud, would be one of the key priorities wherever you're working. I have understood, talking to my colleagues who work in different places, in financial institutes, even if I have friends who are working in banks, the fraud and dispute resolution specifically are the important components of a payment system. As we talked about, as the first of the characteristics we talked today was actually the security, and the next was the fraud. So in basically in the prioritization metrics, I would always tap into how many frauds are being happening, work on the data, statistics and the matrix, how many transactions are being reported as fraud, and that would drive the prioritization. That happens anywhere, not only related to fraud, but in payment industry, that's the key component, that when you drive the whole agenda of metrics, is look at the data driven approach, saying that this is how many in month on month, if you able to find out these are the frauds have happened, has been detected, and then you can actually pursue your higher management and say that this is what we want to prioritize today. And frankly, whenever it is about prioritization, it's always about metrics and the numbers and the business impact.
Super. An interesting question from Lavanya. Can the invisible experience be applied to ATM withdrawals?
Certainly. If issuers want to, yes. And if we forget the India perspective, but there are some geographies where you have the invisible payment experience on ATM, where you just tap your card or you just tap your phone and you can actually, they are able to derive what is the amount. So there are certain on the cash withdrawal ATMs, there are some geographies which are there, but to my understanding, we are moving to digital. We are focusing on replacing the cash. that opportunity is bigger, and we are focusing on digital is what I believe in. And not only from the perspective of where I work today in India or wherever, in any of the geography, everybody wants the digital payments, the forefront and the center. So the focus on ATM withdrawals and the cash withdrawals has gone down. However, the focus is is making the payments on digitally much more successful is there.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right. What are the best ways to deep dive into understanding fintech systems? Any sources to recommend?
Yes, I do not have the sources at handy, but I would try to send it to the Kushal post
Yeah.
this. But let's
Please.
understand what kind of fintechs we have. Like, if I the biggest fintech which I know is the Revolut, the card issuing which is there in outside India. And that's one. So we have to understand what kind of fintech you are going in. In India, it's Cred also, which is also fintech, but it is not an issuance. It is a credit card payment, and certainly other credit pays and everything is coming. So I'm taking the examples here so that you understand that what are the different fintechs, which first understand the type of fintech or the business. It could be the issuance, it could be you big tech like UPI in India has been driven by phone pays, Paytm. These are also this could be called as a TPAP or fintech, wherever you want to go. And understand that these there are fintechs like Jupiter Money, or if you call about uh, one card which they are issuing. So these are the fundamentally the fintechs which we are focusing upon. So now coming to your question on how do you want to go, first learn about the fintechs, different kinds of fintech, the kind of a work they are doing and what are they focusing. And none of the fintech today, as I see the world very closely from the payments ecosystem world, every fintech has a different KPIs to run. So, or business to run in a very simple language. Any Revolut will have a different business to run, and a Cred will have a different business to run. So understand what are the technology they are bringing on the financial system, and wherever you want to understand more, and wherever you think that it is gonna make it is more exciting for you, you can tap and understand and delve into that. But fintech is a very common word being used. Focus exactly what kind of fintech it is, because it's like a financial technology, but it's like open banking is also there are a lot of fintechs or neobanks or fintechs coming over and above open banking. So understand what are the technology they are driving on the financial systems.
Yeah, I do agree that fintech is quite a broad term, and
Yes.
the definition is different for different geographies as well.
Yes, totally.
Cool. We have a few more questions. What is the payment? Uh, Probably I'll just pick the ones which are a little more relevant on the payment side. This is a good one. I think this is something which you can resonate with, um, or I could strongly resonate with. What is the could you please talk about the role of a payments PM using third-party payment infrastructure in their org or in their product? And what should the focus be in terms of getting the best for both business and the user experience side of things? This is a question by Nishant.
So if I can understand correctly, the question here is that if I'm a product manager for any merchant app, right? Just making more real life, and if I want to hire a technical or a third party payment system, what would be the nuances and the characters which I would be thinking in order to make sure that whatever I'm onboarding any third party payment system, what should be my thought process as a product manager? Did I understand correctly?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll just take an example, and a very real time example in India itself. We know that there is Swiggy. You go at a checkout page, there is a circle comes powered by Just Pay, and then it goes to any of the pages, either whatever you want to. So this is a real time example that what I as a product manager at Swiggy would look like is that I am onboarding a third party vendor who has a scale. It has to be secure, because yes, we are in a secure world. We need a payment system to be secured. Second one, which would be easier to integrate, that my app is able to integrate with their SDK or any integration, or a simple technical integration, which will be little simple and not very heavy on my app. And I'm morely talking from the app or mobile perspective. We all know that we are in the era where mobile payments are again the one which are driving the payments, or which are the experience lies. Everybody is in that 7 inches or a 4 inches screen, wherever it is, right? So that's the front and center where the experiences, the user are more, and that's where the payments are happening from. So from the mobile payment specifically, that we know that how flexible it is, how acceptable it is, and also the last thing is that how scalable it is. I mean, in India, Swiggy is one of the biggest food delivery app. Swiggy and Zomato both. Swiggy delivers so many foods and food parcels or anybody. So they are an aggregator app, and how they are scalable. So the payment journey for anybody would be very easy. Just to put in perspective also, that even if a payment fails at a Swiggy app, it would go into a cash, and you have an opportunity again to pay that. That's again a thought process where a product manager would have thought into, that how do I have an opportunity? I do not lose that customer because the payment has been failed. B, I still have an opportunity to provide the payment as a experience in digitally. They can pay online again. And the third one is that if it at all it is not working, there'll be a cash payment which will be done, or which will be taken by a delivery partner. So a product manager would have thought of the layers, where how reduce the cancellation, how do we reduce the such payment friction journey and convert it to cash, and still I can pay online again till that window. So that's the experience I'm talking about, and B, that how the integration between two apps are very seamless, that it becomes so easier for a customer to think, oh yeah, that happened, but okay, let me pay now again. So all about integration, security, scalability, depending upon my app, and also the cost, operation cost, and processing cost. Cost is, and the P&Ls are very, very important.
Yeah, I do agree. I think that that sort of also probably answers part of the next question, which is, how do you decide which payment gateway integration to choose for an e-commerce company, or for any product for that matter, or any platform for that matter?
See, as again, think from the customer, what your customer would want. Wouldn't they want security, or wouldn't they want their flexibility, or wouldn't you want a flexibility to any of the payment gateway you are entering with or integrating with? That's the front. But also, if I am a product manager, I would also think about a biggest KPI is my operation cost. How much is MDR being charged, or a fees or a cost is being charged by any payment gateway? That's an important thing. Today, we live in an era where there are multiple PGs. There's no one or two. There are multiple. They offer a different rates. They might offer the same kind of flexibility and security. So you need to choose depending upon their on the impact they are making on your business by providing better services to you. So again, to just focus on apart from the P&Ls, or apart from the cost which we would incur, I would incur as a product, my company would incur whenever I onboard a gateway. That would be a security, flexibility, and how agile they are. If I want anything from that particular gateway, how agile they are, and also faster settlement. I mean, easier, faster. Everything should be at a easier at use and faster settlement cycles. Yeah.
All right, we'll probably take a final question before we wrap today's a star session, everyone. So I think this is I'll probably pick a generic question. So what are the factors that a PM needs to keep in mind while creating a roadmap for a new product that needs to be launched in America or the US? And whom can we consult while we are creating the same? I think probably
Uh,
the former would be more relevant
yes.
question. Yeah.
So let's suppose if I'm adding a feature or I'm just launching a new product.
It seems launching a new product, let's assume.
Okay, launching a product in US. Okay. Any geography you tap into, the important is the regulation, not only from the payments perspective, but if you're a pharmaceutical or product or a company, there'll be different regulation around it. Or if you are per se a merchant who is specifically only work in India and want to set up in outside India or in Amazon, there'll be again you want to understand the regulations around it. So yes, any geography, the regulation is one of the important aspect whenever you are trying to launching a new product. Second thing is that we also understand that since is there any competitor or am I getting a first mover advantage? If I'm a first mover advantage, do I need to see a lot of challenges while and take that particular thing? So understand is who is my competitor and do the SWOT analysis first and the right and center do starting the product launch. Or in fact thinking on is this product fit to the particular market? So product fitment by doing a SWOT analysis can be found out. The third one is also that what is my user base? I mean, what is my target customer? I mean, if there's a X number of people or X number of these are the demography, and what from that particular who will be my targeted customer, and do they need a target? Do they need this product? And in order to identify do they need that product, I would always run a survey or a feedback or run some run a lot of surveys, identify what do they want, what would they like in this new product, and seek more data points from the target base or customers, do the focus group analysis and find out that these are the four fundamental things. And then once you see that your product is right for that your customer, build on. If it is a technology product, I would always or when I say technology, app driven or any product which is on the which is being provided on your app or a the browser or anywhere, or it's an enterprise product, any of that. In these three categories, the first once you have done all the analysis on the fitment criteria, I would always urge to understand what will be your operation cost, what will be your cost of how much resourcing cost, how would be you pay anybody to create your product, to launch the product, hire people, the resources, your team, all those things, and then start focusing on how will you I mean, then start the journey of roadmap from making it 0 to 1, then 1 to 10, and 10 to 100. So start small and then go big. So that's the basic journey.
Totally agree with that. And nothing to add to that, actually. Pretty much covers what I wanted to talk about as well. I think with that, we end today's session. Once again, thanks for joining us, Sangeeta. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And I think it is quite a unique topic. I'll be honest, and I'm glad we did it as well. And the engagement has been really good overall.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good evening and good morning to everybody.
All right, Ankita. Thank you. Folks who are tuning in from LinkedIn, thanks for joining. I know it's late in the evening, but as always, we had quite an interesting session today covering payments from Ankita. And keep tuning in either on LinkedIn or for our newsletter for obviously the next for the next star session, which is going to happen next week. In the interim, if you have any questions on the PM School's live cohort program, which is an 8-week bootcamp to help you upskill to get to to crack your dream product job, Priyal from my team is going to like share an email with the details. Please do reply to that. Set up a chat with someone from the PM School core team, including Priyal, and we'll be very happy to like share more information and get you to the next cohort, which is going to begin in January. With that, we end today's star session. Thanks everyone for joining, and we hope to see you again very soon. Good night.